Good evening, I'm Tucker Carlson in for the great Brit Hume, and this is On the Record. Was President Obama lying to you when he said he didn't know about the Clinton email server? Well, it looks like he may have been, and the campaign tried to hide the emails between the president and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. But those are not the only bombshells in today's Wikileaks emails. Every day, a new batch. Many in the press seem to be ignoring them, but our team has been investigating, and wait till you see what we have uncovered overnight. Well, first Hillary Clinton called Trump supporters deplorable, then WikiLeaks exposed her and her campaign's disdain for Catholics. And now you can add one more group to that growing list. Fox News chief national correspondent Ed Henry has that story.
While Hillary Clinton continues to target Donald Trump for dividing the country,
I take no satisfaction in seeing what Trump does.
the ongoing dump of hacked emails from the account of Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta, now an astonishing total of over 10,000 messages leaked out, show a Democratic Party ripe with division.
The Hillary Clinton documents released by Wikileaks make more clear than ever just how much is at stake.
After emails emerged attacking everyone from Catholics to Hispanics, today the target was the African American community, which carried Clinton through the Democratic primaries in the first place. In February 2016, liberal activist Neera Tanden went after former NAACP head Ben Jealous, who had the temerity to back Bernie Sanders. Tanden writing to Podesta, quote, "I know there are a million reasons to desperately want Hillary to win, but Ben Jealous feeling that he has no power is a particularly good one." And when Clinton first launched her campaign, Tanden lashed out, writing, quote, "I'm not the diversity police, but there is grumbling on the 4 white boys running next presidential cycle, so I recommend rolling out some people who look like the rest of America soon." Podesta hit back, writing, quote, "Really? Don't you think I know that?" And when pro-Clinton political operative David Brock suggested bringing up Sanders' health records during the primary, the Clinton camp freaked. In emails to Podesta, Tanden hit Brock hard, writing, quote, "Maybe he actually is a Republican plant. Hard to think of anything more counterproductive than demanding Bernie's medical records." And regarding Clinton's own response to the health record strategy, Tanden lashed out at her own candidate, saying, quote, "Hillary, God, her instincts are suboptimal. Pretty typical, though." All the Clinton aides would say about WikiLeaks today is that they've taken steps in recent weeks to make their communications more secure.
I think it would probably undermine our efforts to protect ourselves, people like the Russians, if I talk too much about it, but we have taken additional precautions.
They probably wish they had made some of those communications a little secure a little bit earlier. But interesting breaking tonight, there are reports that the U.S., particularly the Central Intelligence Agency, may be preparing a cyber strike in retaliation against Russia. We've heard already the Obama administration believes that Russia is behind these attacks. As you heard there from Jennifer Palmieri, they may even, NBC is reporting, go after the private bank accounts of some in the Kremlin leadership, to give you an idea of the stakes involved here, Tucker.
Yeah, just to kind of prove the point. But of course, we don't know that Russia's behind them, so far as I can tell.
Exactly.
So what is the explanation for these emails? I know that Podesta and Jen Palmieri had been saying, these are not real. The suggestion being some of them were forgeries. Are they continuing to claim that?
No, what's interesting instead is that they have actually not challenged the accuracy of a lot of these emails. They have said that some of them may be hoaxes, but have done 2 things, I think. Number one, they've decided not to challenge the accuracy because a lot, if not all of them, are true. But secondly, they've made a political decision, which is they don't want to get mired in answering every one of these 10,000 emails that have come out already, because it'll take them off message. Something the Trump campaign hasn't quite learned, because they've been hit by all kinds of things, as you can see, and you've been reporting on. And they respond to every single one of them, and they have had trouble getting their message out. The Clinton campaign, on that point, has been a little more disciplined.
Yeah, you'd think reporters might push the issue a little bit, but no. Ed Henry, ladies and gentlemen, thanks a lot.
Thanks, buddy.
One other email exchange released in that WikiLeaks dump shows that President Obama knew about Hillary Clinton's private email server, and top Clinton aides may have tried to ignore a congressional subpoena. On March 3rd of 2015, the House Benghazi Committee told Hillary Clinton to hand over all her emails. And yet 1 day later, we now know on March 4th, 2015, Clinton's lawyer Cheryl Mills sent this email to her campaign chairman, John Podesta, quote, "Think we should hold emails to and from POTUS," that would be the president. "That's the heart of his executive privilege. We could get them to ask for that. They may not care, but I think they will." Our nightly political panel is joining us now from the Wall Street Journal, Glenn Hall, and the Washington Post's Philip Bump. It's great to see you both, gentlemen. To you, Mr. Bump. This does kind of answer one question, which was, did the president lie when he said he didn't know Hillary Clinton was using private email? Now it's pretty well confirmed that he received a number of them from her, so isn't that a flat-out lie?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's there are a lot of instances in which President Obama was asked about whether or not he knew about Hillary Clinton's email server. I'm not sure what the timeline is. I can't answer that concretely, and there's a lot that goes into it. But yes, this certainly does show that President Obama and Hillary Clinton had communication on this private email server. I think that this is something that we've actually seen before. In January, this is something that the State Department actually came out and said there are these emails in this batch which we are withholding because of executive privilege. So we knew that this was the case. I think that the timing here is obviously also very awkward, having just been asked to produce these and then responding with this question of do we actually need to turn this over?
Which, by the way, as far as I can tell, is legal, by the way. I mean, just as a matter of fact, I think executive privilege is a real thing, and that's a real question. I'm not sure that was wrongdoing. But I do think it's meaningful that the president lied about his knowledge of her private email, because we now know it's illegal. And I think the FBI director made that pretty clear. She shouldn't have been doing this, and it potentially was a risk to national security. So why doesn't someone press the president or his office on this? Like, you told us this, turned out to be untrue. Account for yourself.
Yeah, I think that is the next step that has to happen, right? We've got the new batch of emails from Wikileaks. We see this information, and now we need to be following up and discovering just who knew what and when. There are some distinctions between knowing you were getting email from a private email account versus a private server. I don't know what the defenses may be.
If she's conducting official business on a private email account, that's kind of the nub of the question, right? And he was asked that, and I had no idea.
Right.
But he did.
Yeah, I think he's got some answering to do.
Yeah.
Mostly right now what he's doing is, campaigning on behalf of Clinton. And I think what you also see in these emails was a sympathy from the Obama administration towards helping Hillary Clinton avoid getting mired in this scandal, which hasn't happened, but they tried.
But to answer questions, you have to be asked them. And I guess this goes to a larger question. Why is this so profoundly uninteresting to America's press corps? I mean, I've spent the last 5 days reading these emails, and, you could say maybe they shouldn't have been leaked, and you feel bad for Podesta, as I do, actually, that his private emails were leaked. But there's no denying that they're chock full of relevant, interesting information, and I just don't see it on the front page of any newspaper that I read, including, no offense, yours. Why is that?
Well, I mean, I think that there are so many things to ask the president, right? I totally get your point. I 100% understand your point. I think that any journalist who is worth his salt, if they had a chance to sit down with President Obama, has a long list of things that they would like to ask.
Well,
now,
but I don't know. He has a spokesman, too, though. You don't actually need a private audience with the president in order to pose these questions. You just say to the White House press secretary, like, what about, huh?
Right. Yes. I mean, the point I was going to make is that you also have a limited availability. You have a limited amount of time, and there's a lot going in the world. I honestly don't think that on the scale of things that are going on in the world, an email Cheryl Mills sent to John Podesta in 2015 rises to the level of something that I would bump to the top of my list. But again, this is something that's subjective.
But I'm seeing, 9 stories about Trump and, his behavior, and which I think are relevant, by the way, and I think they should be covered.
I would say this. I think we'd be seeing a lot more coverage of these emails if Trump wasn't stepping into these issues that have distracted America's attention.
Wait, come on. I mean, look. A big news organization has enough resources to cover both, Trump's indiscretions and, the other side. And by the way, do you know a single person in any newsroom in America who doesn't think Hillary's going to be president? Everyone does. So shouldn't they be covering her more assertively? Because she might be the president, no?
Right. But if I could just defend a little bit here, right? Go ahead. A front page story this week about Obama and the indiscretions in his office that also attacked Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
The story didn't attack Hillary Clinton, but the people we were talking to did.
It's a good piece. I read it.
It's a front page piece. We've spent countless hours reading through 50,000 pages of email. We've had story on it every single day. So it's not like we're ignoring it, but it seems like the public is giving a lot more attention to the coverage of Trump's issues, which are much more salacious, perhaps.
Okay. We have a segment coming up, but I don't think you guys are in. But we actually kind of break down the numbers, speaking of the public. How many minutes have they been presented on each story relatively on the nightly news? We're going to have that coming up. It's unbelievable. Thank you, gentlemen. I think you're coming back, I hope.
Happy to.
Well, another bombshell from Wikileaks. Donald Trump may now have some proof that the Clinton Foundation engaged in pay-to-play. An independent law firm looked into the Clinton Foundation in late 2011 at the request of Chelsea Clinton, actually, and wrote this as part of a pretty blistering review. Quote, some interviewees reported conflicts of those raising funds or donors, some of whom may have an expectation of quid pro quo benefits in return for gifts. That's pay for play, in other words. Former U.S. Ambassador to the UN, John Bolton, joins us now. Ambassador, thanks for coming on tonight. So this strikes me as one of those nuggets in the vast trove of WikiLeaks data that kind of jumps out at you, and, that's kind of the smoking gun, no?
Well, this is potential criminal activity, let's be clear, and it's not just the pay-for-play aspects. The report of the independent law firm brought in by Chelsea Clinton, interestingly, is devastating to the overall work of the foundation. The board of directors is a group of Clinton friends and hacks. They meet once a year. The minutes of their meetings are copied from year to year. The outside auditor has been complaining about the accounting methods that the Clinton Foundation used. And then on top of it, you see all these activities in connection with donors expecting quid pro quos, not from the Clinton Foundation, right, obviously, but from the government of the United States. So this is not staff chatter and emails. This is the lawyer who headed this up is a heavyweight in the field. She's one of the acknowledged experts, comes from a respected and well-known law firm. This is a devastating report, not just from optics point of view, right, but from legal compliance. It's very serious.
Right. I mean, it's not something that Breitbart cooked up. I mean, this is a review that they asked for. And I guess the most ominous part of this, as you alluded to a minute ago, is that the people in question, the ones who expected a favor in return for donations, in many cases were foreign governments. I mean, that's kind of exactly what you don't want, right?
Well, this goes to what I think is the biggest problem that Hillary Clinton has here. You know, having gone into the government myself many times, anybody would tell you that it's an arduous process to separate your former private life from your government life. It's not quite like going into a monastery, but it approaches it in the kind of separation you have to make. They made no separation. You can't tell where the Clinton administration, sorry, Freudian slip, the Clinton State Department leaves off and the Clinton Foundation begins. You've got Cheryl Mills in some of these emails involved in nitty-gritty internal Clinton Foundation management matters when, by law, she's supposed to have one job, working for the State Department. Right. So that's the kind of thing, you know, if the Attorney General of the state of New York were anything other than a political hack, I would take this outside expert report and say, what remediation did the Clinton Foundation make in the past 5 years? What have they done to avoid these kinds of problems? That would make for an interesting investigation.
Yeah, don't hold your breath. You'll pass out if you do. Former Ambassador John Bolton joining us live tonight. Great to see you, Ambassador.
Thank you, Tucker.